Good evening, everyone. Even though nobody's here, good evening anyway. Um, Tonight, I'm going to explain first how I constructed this sideboard. It took me a long time to put it together electronically because I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to woodworking. I asked for help for people to tear it apart and tell me if anything needed to be done or improved or if I did something stupid, but nobody helped. So, if it's stupid and you don't like it, then you should have told me earlier. Thank you. I have researched various types of simple line furniture on Bing under Bing search and under images. Um, it's confusing. There's a lot of overlap. First thing I'm going to do is forget what I was going to do. I'm going to go into my slideshow, I guess. Let's see if this works. Yes. Now, screen share. And we'll get my face off here and go on to something that we really want to see. In this sideboard concept, this is mod 1. I will show you what I created first, if I make more sense. This is my take on a primitive sideboard buffet type thing. Whether it's good or not, we will find out first. But we'll go back into the wrong one. Interesting. There we are. No, I don't know how to go backwards. Okay. I had a slide of this thing stripped of color, and I don't know where I put it. I'll find it and then bring it up. And I'll explain layer usage and why I basically don't. And then we'll do some of this other stuff, like remove the drawers and these things under it. We'll make the doors railed, and we'll add breadboards in, and there's some things that we have to do here. I didn't finish my presentation. That's okay. Exit presentation. Now, let me see if I can find where I have pulled all the color out of this. I thought it was in thought I got some screenshots of it. Without coloring, this thing really sucks. I'll tell you that right now. Class work, class projects. No, I didn't save them. That was dumb. Wait a minute. I am a doofus. Okay, we'll do it the hard way then. I'll call it back up. And I'm not going to remove all of the colors because after a little bit you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm going to make this top active. And my hotkey for the pink bucket is Alt-B because I have a tendency to have a fat finger and I would hit the paintbrush and it would take a long time to load up. So we're just going to go through and remove some colors here. I'll remove the colors on all this piece too. Actually, I'm putting color in, as you can tell, but that's okay. Before, put some back in it. Grab the bottom drawer. And we'll turn this thing over and do the same thing to some of the stuff here. Maybe. putting color in afterwards or changing color after you have assemblies sometimes is a nuisance. But you can start to see right now that with the default color, no matter what it is, you really lose definition on what you're trying to look at. Now I'm going to close this down, and I'm going to hit Control Z a lot of times to get back to where I was. There. Now, even though these are stock colors, not wood grain, it gives it a representation. You can see the joinery better. You can see what's going on under the thing. Now, to layers. I was using this thing, and I had a layer called Layer 1, and I tried to move these drawers to it as I was going to toggle back and forth between Layer 1 and Layer 2. SketchUp 8, and I don't know about the 2013 or 2014 because I refuse to use those, even though I don't get any money from it, does not have the layer concept in what I would call a very intelligent manner. I've complained about it. It don't work just like we want it to. Well, they don't have a clue what they're doing when it comes to electronic graphing. I've been in it for way too long. 1984 is when I started it. If you take this component right there and move it to a layer, the whole thing should go to a layer, but it doesn't. It leaves part of it there on the layer that it came from. And it's very, very, very difficult to get everything put to a layer you want and then taken off that layer. Even with my layer called primitive down here that you can see, I'll bet I still have things on layer 0. Because that's their default layer. That's the one they want you to use. They've given you the option of using other layers, but everything is created on layer 0 no matter where you have your active layer at. So I don't use layers very often, and I give you pretty much the reasons why, simply because they don't work right. Now, there are plugins out that you can get from Woodworlds that will put things on layers. So far, I have not dealt with anything complex enough to require layers. If you use colors and the cute little outliner here, which is your friend, and everybody should learn how to use outliner. Layers for most projects for the house are ridiculous. They just are not needed. If you get into a project that has 500-600 different components, yeah, layers can be handy if they work right. If they don't, you can multiple models and merge them. You can see I put some dimensions on here. These are big and funky, and that's just the way things are with this primitive. Now, I have several photos in my director back into my Toshiba drive. SU models, glasswork, and sideboard study. I went through and did a lot of research on these things, and I'm looking for my primitive ones. There's a primitive, and it's coming up on wrong. Okay, we'll have to kind of share this. That's a primitive, but it's got rail and style doors, and they're going to keep coming up on the wrong side. Here's another primitive. I like the looks of this one. It is really primitive looking. Nice metal detail here. And move this one back over. This is also a primitive, but I think a real primitive would be one that looks like something like this, even though it's got glass in it. It's got, you know, rudimentary drawers. and it's got a rail and styled upper door. Yeah, it could be still primitive. My suspicion is that primitive truly is not um, a primitive concept. I think it was probably developed rather recently. But my premise is, okay, we start from a primitive idea, and then the Shakers came along in the 1800s, and their motto, and this is a paraphrase because I don't have it up yet, but first make it usable, then make it pretty. So we have aspects of, oh, this is a simple shaker box. Hey, good, it came up on the right page. Little apothecary drawers. It's got some nice little, got some really nice grain in it. It's not super fancy, but they did put a little bead around the top and the bottom. Added a little elegance to something that was utilitarian. Here's another example of shaker. Oops. Okay, I'll just do it that one. I want to go to. It's rolling the wrong way. I cut the legs off on this one when I copied it. I didn't really want to. You can see the little apothecary drawers here, but it's got a nice turn leg on it. The knobs are functional. They're not just buttons poked out. This is a neat feature here. They add access to places that you don't normally think would have access. I have looked at a lot of their business application things, and this actually could be from an apothecary. I don't know. It looks like it's got a little pull-out tray here. Their seamstress stuff and their tailoring things had all sorts of little fold-out wings and pull-out slots and side panels, and they just really were inventive. Here's another shaker. This might be a shaker ripoff. It's hard to tell anymore. It's pretty simple, but there are um, some beauty tricks in the bevel door, the arches in the feet and base. I did this mainly because it is a buffet with a hutch hooked onto it. But even where the interface between the hutch and buffet, they carried the same arch effect up into it. It's simple, but it's very, very attractive. Here's another. This one has got an inset door. I can't tell if these are beaded or if they're mitered internally. It looks like it's got a little trim vein running up the leg, and then we've got the little tapered legs here. In the wrong direction. This is a more elaborate one. I think this is probably not a real one. It's probably a modern adaptation of it, which is okay. It's so pretty. Nice, elegant arch here, tapered legs. So, and the button knobs, the peg knobs, yeah, I guess that's the right term, are quite common on shaker furniture, and they work. They're not ugly. Mushroom knobs. That's what they'd be. Mushroom knob. Um, so if they work, and they're not ugly, don't argue with it. As it takes its time to get here, we'll go back up here. We're going to remove, on this one, we're going to remove the top drawers first. I'm going to slide this to the side so I don't have to keep bringing it back up. In the process of doing that, I'm going to show how to hide things and unhide things with a combination of screen picks with mouse button 1 and the outliner. You can see that when I selected my glue up top, now shakers might have been able to come up with a really, really big board for this. We can't get those anymore, so I made a glue up. It's highlighted blue around it, and it's also highlighted blue. Okay, I am confused because I can't see what I'm doing. All right, why? I'm just all sorts of confused. Hang on here, people. I seem to have lost. There. My work screen, so I can see what you're seeing, disappeared. I had to go find it. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this again. You can see it's blue here and blue down here. Mouse button 1. I use that so that left-handed people know which button I'm talking about. It also highlights blue over here. If you mouse button 3, this flyout comes up, then you can select hide. Here you can see my joinery. Now, True Primitive may not have done it like this. That's why I did it. Okay, now I want to select this, and I want to select this, and I'm going to make them go away by hitting the Delete key. I'm going to undo that under Control Z. You can see how I decided to make my side supports here. They are dadoed in or partial tenon in the mid support beam. I have dovetailed front and back on the drawer, partials in the front. They could have been through. That's not uncommon to see. I just wanted to use the same group to create them all, so I didn't change the size. Sometimes lazy is good. And also, I placed this center guide so it missed my lower dovetail in the back of the drawer. And these are just glued in the back. They just may be nailed in for expansion and things. So, I will Control Z a couple times to get all my stuff back. There. I'm going to hide this one again. And I want to select that drawer, hit Delete. And I want to select this and all of these center guides, which I'm not going to need. And now you can see that I have a bunch of things that need to be filled up. In my glue up, I'm interrupting myself as I go around and talk on this thing. Because again, if you see a better way to do this, please notify me. I'm a rookie. In my end panel glue up, have it all these 4 pieces edge glued together and slipped in and edge glued to both of my legs. Is that a good idea? Maybe not. Should one of these be pinned, partially glued? I don't know. I'm willing to take suggestions and learn. So let's activate one of these legs. And these legs, because of the way that the parts go together, all have to be unique. I started out with one leg and then found out that once you put this in, it messes things up. When you put this thing in, it messes them up even farther. So you can start with one concept, but be ready to, I'll show you what you need to do. Mouse button 1 over here in the column, go up to make unique, and then you can make that component, whether it's the whole thing or just one element, if you are in that element, you can make that unique. And then you can do things that it does not affect everything else. Okay, go back and make this one active. We need to fill some holes in. Activate my line function. Now, it's filled in, but my lines are still here. If you're really technical about it, and I am, I would normally go delete those lines. But for the purposes of class, I'm just going to fill them in real quick and heck with it. Why I would delete them is every element that is in there, it has to calculate. So it is calculating at least all of these lines and the internal lines that created this, because this is still here. I can take this surface and extrude it back and forth. So that pocket is still there. So it's calculating all this stuff every time you refresh, every time you load it, every time you save. And then we have to do the same thing here. Make sure that's active. With my L key, that's the hotkey for line. I did not care for their hotkey construct, so I made my own. And there is a lesson on how to do that also. So now we have filled in all of our gaps that we had for the upper drawers. Let me call this back up. See, this is one modify. Well, I removed the drawer guides and also the drawer guide supports. Now we're going to modify the door supports for our longer requirement. We're also going to have to do something with this. Did I have that on my list? Yes. I'm going to modify the doors and the drawers first, but this is in the wrong spot. Or at least it's too big. So we'll go ahead and get the doors fixed first. Now I have made my double mouse button 1 on that component. I didn't want it active yet. I want to hide this. I want to take this face right there. You can see it's turned kind of a dappley blue. Little spots all over it. And I want to move this up. Let's see if we move to an inferred point. Yes. I also want to do the same thing on this one. Ah! Now you see something that you run into a problem when you use the same component and just flip it over. This component modified, but it went the wrong direction. Have to be careful when you're looking at stuff like this. So we will just select that whole component, which is now active, and we will move it up. Okay, now we have our new door frame, if you want to call it that way. Now let's take both of these doors and that hinge and move them up. Let's see if we move them up 3 inches, what it looks like. Select a point to start from. Give it a direction. You can see down in the corner I have a weird dimension. I'm going to type in 3. Probably 2.5 might be better. Okay. Except for some reason those didn't move the same. Ah! I needed to have moved the bottom ones too. We'll fix these little homemade hinges in a few minutes. I need to be in the door itself. And I have a plugin called Create Board. I'm not going to use it right now because it's quicker when I already have geometry there. I'm going to make a rectangle using this information. Except, where'd it go? I don't think I watched my cues. Okay, let's make another rectangle, and I'll tell you what I think I did wrong. I am getting confused. Okay, that's active rectangle. What a cheat. I'm going to do it from up here. There, I have it. Double mouse button 1, mouse button 3, make component. And I don't care about component names, whether it's rail, style, board, whatever. I don't know all the names. I don't have to when I'm building this myself because my computer knows it, and it will remember it when I go touch it. One thing to be aware of is if this is not checked, make sure you check it. That's what I thought I was doing wrong before, because it will create a component in the middle of somewhere. So now we have a created component inside my door. There's probably one down here. Looks like there is. So now I'm going to make that component active, and I'm going to fill in if it was there. And you can see that my filler panel on this side is not quite the right size. So I'm thinking the easiest thing to do is make all of my boards a 1/4 inch shorter. Well, let's verify that. Dimension function here, point, 1/4 inch. Yes. I will make this active, and now I'm going to go into that same plug-in. You can also resize board sometimes. I will make it 14 inches even. Now you can see that all of them got shorter everywhere. So I'm going to go into this door, turn that thing off. It gets upset with that one plug-in. It likes to keep everything held on its own. So I'll grab this one and move it up. And I'll grab all of these in this door and move them down a 1/4 inch. And since I have geometry here, there, I think. Let me hide that. Oh! Strange. I have geometry that I don't know what it is. Unhide. Let's hide all of these. Ah, that was that one I created before that I couldn't figure out what it was. It had disappeared down in the gobbledygook. So you can see that hide and unhide have a lot of features to be able to find your bad saw cuts. Now, okay, I'll explain what I just did there. If you select a component inside of an assembly, select Shift and then go down, just like in Windows. You can grab a whole bunch of them and then unhide them all at once. Now, what we have is 3 parts, but we need a 4th one. Now, let's see if we take, since this one's still active, I'm going to take this component and copy it. Except I got something wrong because that's the wrong part. So I may have to fix all this a little bit, make it better. Yep, my whole door is off on that side. That's okay. You can see that when I copied it in this one, it also moved in this one. And on this one, I have the door at the right level. I'm going to select this door in the outliner, pick this point, and move it up there. I have created my own wood grain effect. Some of it I don't like, so that's why I took it out. And I also created this handle myself too. And you'll notice that when you go to blend things, sometimes they get ugly. It's only a picture, so I ain't going to worry about the open gap at the bottom. It may cause grief later on, but right now it's not. So now we have two hinges that really need to be moved. So I selected each of those from the screen, and you can select it from the screen or from the outliner. Again, indicate you don't want to copy, indicate a point, and on this case, I'm just going to move it 3 inches like it was before. Now we have our little hinges farther apart. Most of you will complain about this. Well, you won't complain about this interface because it's a hinge right here. But the door itself, these are edge glued grain to end grain. Should they be raveted, dadoed? Probably. I'm not going to do that right now. It's not that hard to do, but I just don't want to do it right now. Control Z to get my top board back. Okay, bring over my, okay, we've got door supports for all the requirement. Okay, I already did some of this, modify the internals or remove the cutouts, and modify upper plate for shelf use. So I have a component here that is hidden, and I'll pick it and hit unhide. And you can see we have several problems with it. It's coming through the doors. That's because these were not there before. It was a top supporting member. So I'm going to hide this door. And I'm going to make this whole thing active. And you'll notice we have issues because I have a front and a back piece the same ID. If I change this part, this one's going to go bad. But what I want to do is didn't want to do that. I want to select this outside one, mouse button 3, and hit Make Unique. Now I have component 24 here. There's another way I could, let me get off this because I want to hide this door. And I want to hide this part for the time being. I have a cutout here. This cutout, in fact, I'm just going to use this one to change. I could have taken this face, if I can get it to work, and pushed it back, or I can take this face and push it over to here. And I can do the same thing this one. And we'll just punch that over. And I don't think I punched this one far enough because I stopped at that face. Here. Now we have a unique board for the front part, except for a shelf we really have problems here. They're all Right. So I will make this board active. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this active and hide that component. There, I got two of them hidden. There. Now, make this one active, and I'm going to grab this face, and I'm going to extrude it out to meet that face. Now, since I had the same board right next to it, that one also is out there. And I will do the same thing with this one. Now you can see that we have two nice boards that have already been changed to the right length. I need to make this one active again. This one and this one need to be hidden. And I need to go back into my shelf and make this board active. And since I have this interface here, I can go into my line function and put a line from here to here. And I can extrude this one out. I can do the same thing here. Make that active. Line function. Extrude this one out. And I can do the same thing. And I have to do the same thing to the other one. Line function. Extrude that one. Make this one active and do the same thing. A lot of this instruction, unfortunately, is if I do it all, it is really repetitive. If I don't, you might miss something. I'd rather just go ahead and be repetitive. That way you can stop it, back it up, and say, what did that boy say? He was talking too fast. Now, we have a shelf here, but it seems kind of high. Another thing I could have done, I'll go ahead and do this and show you this right now. I could have taken this one and copied. In fact, I'm going to do that. Nope, don't want to. I could have copied this up and then made this thing, made it unique, and then just modified this outside board. Didn't want to do it. Mainly because that may have. Nope, it's just edge glued. I would like to have some sort of room under my top panel here to at least be able to get my arms all the way to the back. Now, that may be silly. You could put wall things in there, but I just soon be able to reach back there a little bit better. And it's my shelf, so I can do what I want. My wife was over there giggling at me for one of my sound effects. Okay, it's active. I'm going to go down here, select move again, and we'll move it down 5 inches. Let's make it 3.75. So we have room to put larger vessels, jugs, or the big cast iron pots that they used to use. It can go under here. Let's see what else we have to do. Okay, got the doors modified. Add breadboard ends on my top, because this top is probably going to expand and contract, and it's just going to be explosive. I honestly do not know how to make the breadboard ends agree with his tenons, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And then fix it. And then if you guys tell me that there's a better way, I love it. So I have this geometry here. I am going to go in and make a rectangle here. That's telling me that I have selected something, but there's nothing highlighted, so I've got my face that I just created. Shift C is my hotkey combination. We have got replace, so I'm okay there. I will make that part active, and I'm going to extrude it out 5 inches. Now, I need to put this part in my top, because this is going to be important in the top, and it's not really important hanging out here in space. Select it, drag it down, and it's now in the top. Now, I'm going to make my top active again. I'm going to take my breadboard, and I'm going to move it. No, I'm going to copy it from here to here. Now, technically, that's breadboard in, but I don't really want it just hanging off the side, although that might be the smarter way to do it. So what I'm going to do is take these boards, and I'm going to make them 11 inches shorter. Resize board. .40.5. Now these are going to be trickier because once you do weird things in a board, it doesn't like it anymore. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. See, it says it's 10,000 inches long. It just is not that long. So actually, what I'm going to do is get rid of those two, because we can now use what I told you about. I'm not liking to get release things. Select both of them. Select delete. Select this one, and I'm going to copy it from there to there 2 times. Now, you can say, was that intelligent? And you can say no, because now I got to move them all the other way. Yeah, I could have just moved this one out this way. It's what you get familiar with and what you feel like doing at the time. Actually, now I need to have a secondary glue up. So I'll make this a component inside my top. That way I can move this, since I needed to move all of these boards along with this end, it's easier to grab that and this than it is this and 4 separate boards. So I want to move this, come on, 5.5 inches, just as I already know this dimension. I'll move it far. Now I can go back to this one and move it inward. Except, why don't I do it from here to here? It would make a lot more sense. I do not have something balanced. My top is off, it's out of whack. Okay. I'll take the whole top, and I'm going to move it from this corner, move the whole top from that corner there to that corner. That piece is not in the right position. Sometimes you think you get everything lined up here, and when you go back and look at it, it's slipped off. There. Well, that's all square, true, plane, parallel, perpendicular. If I really don't want the whole top, I'm going to have to move this back corner and then fiddle around with it and put it where I want it. Don't tell anybody, there's going to be an ornament. There. I've got it offset the front where I want it. And it looks like 1/2 inch out of whack. So I will just take this edge and move it 1/4 inch and see what it looks like. good enough. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this part and I'm going to put a hole in it. It's active. Hit my rectangle hotkey. And I'm going to extrude that down 1.5. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to put 2 lines in this. One from here to here, and here to here. And I'm going to extrude that in to there. Now, that really looks sweet on that end, doesn't it? I've got my tenons in. Uh-oh, we have issues. Houston, we have a problem. Let's see if I can just rotate this and reposition it. Remember what I was saying about the same part? You can do things and really mess yourself up. This might be one of them, but I wanted to do it deliberately to show you that sometimes the fix, you just turn it apart upside down and put it back. That's one nice thing about having things equal from side to side. You can overcome a lot of stupidity that way. Now, let's put everything back in, and I'll show you something else that SketchUp does not do well. I've selected unhide, and I'm going to select all. You notice it didn't put my door slats in. I can select edit, unhide all again, and it still isn't going to do anything. Unless you actually make that part active, it doesn't realize that there's stuff there. Now, everything is edited and unhidden and open and oh, I'm going to add dividers to the bottom drawer. Hit this little button right here to refresh the screen. Yes, I have enough time to add dividers. What I'm going to do is actually pull this drawer out all the way. And I can show you how I created, so you guys can critique me on this. For my center guide, oh, something else that is not primitive, I'm using a solid piece of something, probably plywood for the back. I didn't want to go through all the mess of trying to glue up a whole bunch of little 1/4-inch thick slats. Sorry about that, I just didn't want to. Now, do I have issues on this corner? And something else you can see that I didn't do, I have not fixed these corners here. They are butt joints. And I'm trying to find out, I don't even think I have that one. Right. This one is not the right one. So see, now that I look at this, I really should have spent another 20 minutes in putting the dados in, or at least rabbits on here to make this drawer right. It wouldn't even have been 20 minutes. Let's push this back to there. Unhide this thing. Now we have a whole bunch of material here that we can make a divider out of. So what I want to do is copy this one, and I'm going to bring it from the center of it, right there. See, it says midpoint in component. I'm going to swing it forward. Until I get that to the midpoint. Now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to move it in 15 inches. So I'm going to copy it. And I'll do the same thing with this one. Why 15? I don't know. What's the convention I came up with off the top of my head? Now, but you can see right now we have issues. These boards won't fit there. So what I'm going to do is take each of these and hope making unique Doesn't give me a whole bunch of extra things. It didn't. Now there is a handy feature here. I'm going to hide a whole bunch of stuff in this drawer. Yeah, I really have to because these are too long also. So since that one has already been changed, I think it's a 1/2 inch. Let's unhide the back, even though I call it drawer font 1 because I just made it unique. Okay, so I'll rehide it. We have our information so that it agrees with itself. Now, hide this, 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 and this. And I'm going to select these 3 pieces. Under Edit, there is a function called Intersect Faces. So I'm going to select it with Model. And now when I hide this component, we have line elements here. So I want to take this component and make it active, and I want to put a line from the midpoint of an active up to here and to here. And I want to hide this one because I want to do the same thing here. Make a line from the point to here, and here, 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 and here. And now I'm going to take that and extrude it through my material. Now, just check out which ones are the new ones. I think these are it. Nope. Okay. I also asked that Trimble in their updates put in a reverse hide everything. They said nobody uses that. Well, that's a case where it would come in great because I wanted 2 parts that I didn't know where they were or what they were back on my view, and I wanted this one out of the way. Reverse hide. Makes perfect sense. Programmers didn't understand it, but then they're programmers. Several of the people that read it thought it was a good idea, but that didn't gain them any points in the forum, I'll tell you that right now. Okay, where's my hide button at? Now, we have the same thing here. But, actually I didn't want to hide that one completely. Let's bring that one back in so I can move it vertically. Alright, I took the top out of that one. That's all I wanted to know. In the middle of talking here, I forgot what I was doing. Hide. I want to take the bottoms out of this one. Make that part active. Go into my line function, center, here, down, here, down, here. I have a face. I will push it through. Maybe. There. Now, since it's the same part, it appeared in both of them. I'm going to unhide all of this. And now I have got a whole bunch of line elements everywhere that are just taking up computer space. So I'm going to select everything, top to bottom. I'm going to unhide it. Or I'm going to hide it first, rather. Hide, hide, hide. Ah! Because I Control-Z. It created them inside this thing. So I have to hide my components in here. Hide. These line elements I don't want. hit a couple of spaces, box around those, and hit delete. And now I can select top and bottom and unhide these. And now I can move my drawer back in. I had that, and I selected this. And I'm going to leave it like that, just have it out in the open so it can be seen. I don't like these white parts, so I'm going to Alt B. And I'm going to add, well, first I've got to make parts active. And I'll use chocolate, these. That's a pretty good guess. That's why I hit the top. I'll make this door active. Go on wood. Components there. That's my naughty line. So we have expended the hour. I'll reiterate what I was going to do. Go up here. Pulled out color and explained why color is valuable. I explained why I did not use layers because they don't work right. I removed the top drawers, the guides, the internals for cutouts. Modified the door supports for a longer requirement. I modified the upper plate for shelf use. I made the doors as railed panels. But I didn't put stiles in. I just made them railed. Or maybe that's called breadboard on a door. I don't know. On the top, I added breadboard so it would hopefully be more stable. And I added the tenons, or the mortises actually, to the breadboards. Now, if that's a dumb idea, please message me on Google Plus or on Facebook. I'm a rookie. So let me save this. By the way, I went the whole hour without saving this thing, and that's really, really stupid. Really, really stupid. Turn screen share off. Really stupid. I have lost tons of work by having a computer crash and not having saved. One thing I did not do. Okay, let me open it back up because this is important also. So we'll run over by a couple of minutes. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. What I'm going to do is show how fast you can run cut lists on this thing. I have heard of people taking hours and hours and hours to figure out their cut list. That's dumb. Dumb, dumb. Okay, file. Open this one. Go back to screen share. Turn this thing back on. There is a plugin called Cut List. My copy does not work right. There's something about my computer and this cut list that it just upsets each other, and you'll see the error. Don't worry about it, because I've been told I'm the only one that has a problem. And for what I want to do, that's okay. There are several different things on setups on this thing. You can establish your nominal sizes, your widths, and other things. So this will, it'll only let you select one. So sometimes you get a cut list that's not quite normal, but it's okay. It gets you into where you want it. Now, I've got a 4 foot, these are sheet widths. I'm going to make it 5 foot and 8 feet long. So I'll go back here. I'm going to hit run. It's going to say, you have nothing selected, Dildo. Wrong word. This is supposed to be a G. Program goofball. There. Edit, edit. Okay, do you want to select how it's visible? Yes, I do. This is an error that I get that it's not true, so ignore that one, and I'll get it. Oh, maybe not. Okay, cut list was written into classwork sideboard concept. All right. And this is another error I get. It's supposed to print my cut list to this layout sheet. That doesn't, but that's okay. I don't want it there anyway. So now I will close that one. But see, you've already got a usable cut list for just thinking right here. What I want to do is go back into and try to find these things, even though it told me what files them. Make that go down, close this one out, go back into my, that's one reason why things are running slow, into my mobile drive. SU models, classwork. Here we have the cut list layout and the whole cut list. This is your stuff. This is how long it is, how thick it is, board feet, thickness, cut length, and then it tells you what parts are what. I've got 2 knotty pine ones. It says 1, but it's used in 2 spots because it's in a component. But it gives all this stuff, and you saw how long it took to run it, even with me shooting my mouth off. So I'm going to close this one down, and I'm going to open up. Oh, it changed on me. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Come on. It gives you the layouts on your boards. Now, I don't like the way it does it because it doesn't stack them together. I don't see why it didn't put these 4 over here. But I'm just being fussy. At least it gives you a layout. If you don't like something, we'll wait for this one to pop up again. See, it's could these 2? Nope, because these are thicker. I was wondering why these 2 couldn't have been on the same board, because this is a 1/4 inch and this is some oddball dimension. Don't know why that's oddball. Door rail. Oh, but I didn't fix it. That should have been 2 inches exactly. Okay. Actually, it would probably be 2 inches anyway, because you probably cut it undersized so a door will fit. And we'll go into another one and just see what it does on this sheet. We got a little bitty door rail here. Parts not placed, goofy things. But it gives you a good idea, like the side part. Yeah, it wouldn't put it on because that's an assembler. But how long does it take? How long does it take for people to understand that you can let the computer do things a whole lot faster than you can do with a pencil and paper? Get with the program. Computer's been out since a long time. Computer graphics been out since before 1984 because they were using them in 1979 at Clark Equipment in Benton Harbor. I wasn't on it, but they were using them there. They have come a long way since then. You don't have to have a mainframe to run. Thanks for watching. If I'm lucky, this was recorded and it'll be on Facebook. So, catch you for the next lesson when I get it nailed down on what I want to do. Bye-bye.